Good morning. Welcome to the Infinite Spark Collective. May this be your home for spiritual awakening, intuitive guidance, teaching, and just in general, feel like home on earth for your soul. The Infinite Spark is that little light inside of you that incarnated as a piece of God within you when you asked to come here. Today is Wednesday, February the 25th, 2026. And today I do two readings. I am going to do our Frequency Directive, which picks up the vibe of the day from the collective. And then I'm going to do a separate reading, a second recording, for the Vortex Directive, which is Law of Attraction and Manifestation related. I've already chosen the decks for that reading and for this reading, so let's begin. I have chosen The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, and I have also chosen the second deck based on his second book, Living Untethered. And these cards are asking you, who are you really? Who are you really? And are you ready to live untethered? Essentially, what Michael is asking you is, if you don't really know who you are, then I'm glad you're here. Because really, you are a soul experiencing human life. You asked to incarnate here. You asked for so many experiences. And I'm in the process of writing a book series called Decoding the Soul Blueprint. Kind of wrote it backwards. I wrote book 3 first. Now I'm writing book 1, which is about the soul family, monads, and, how you became part of the soul family and the tree that you're in for souls. And there'll be a second book in the series on twin flames, from the monadic version to the split soul. They are very similar yet different. And the third one, which I just finished, is on karma and karmic relationships. And that one has a lot of exercises in it on how to deal with karmic relationships. It does discuss 3 levels of soul connections in there. I may get into that again in the first book that I'm writing now of the series. Just to clarify, because I know sometimes when an author writes a series of books, sometimes they'll repeat information in all books because some people may only buy one book. What I'm hoping to do is, when they're finished, is to publish them ebooks. You can purchase them individually, or you will get a better deal if you buy them all as a bundle. I'm still planning out the other 2 books. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to come out and if they're going to include exercises or tips and tools and so forth. I'm kind of working with that right now. But hopefully they'll be out in a little bit. So let's get to the reading. I've already done my essential oil grounding, cleansing, allowing myself to open to spirit. Universe, I am a clear channel for you. What messages do you have for the collective today? Allowing them to tap into who they really are, and are they ready to live untethered? Meaning untethered from your identity, your personality, your persona, and live from the soul. Now, it's not an easy thing to do. It's a process. That's where self-actualization and self-realization comes in. and doing the merging of your shadow, or your integrating of your shadow into your being, because your soul has always been whole, complete, and fulfilled. It's just we get caught up in the conditioning because we asked here to come here um, in human flesh. We asked to incarnate, to experience things the soul doesn't understand, because the soul does not have a mind. The soul does not have a body. So the soul only experiences things through what we do with our human interactions, with ourselves, with others, in various situations. And I'm here to help you, lead you back to learning to live from that self-realized soul part of you that is whole, complete, and fulfilled. And basically reach the ability to unconditionally love yourself, understand what you're going through in terms of situations. I don't want to call them trouble. I don't want to call them problems. I'll call them experiences. So I have shuffled the deck quite well, the untethered soul. Going beyond. Beyond is infinite in all directions. Now, this could be going beyond, as I've already mentioned, going beyond the thinking that you are this human based person just experiencing stuff and that the universe is doing this to you, that this person is doing this to you. No, you have to go beyond the scope of that thinking. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a sip of coffee. Made that good today. You have to go beyond that. Yes, we're flesh and we can touch and we can feel and we can be and we can do. But that's not who you really are. Who you really are is this infinite spark of God that lives within your soul. And most people wonder where the soul exists in you. It doesn't really have a place because it's an energy. It's not an actual physical thing. However, if you were to name a place, for those of you who are familiar with the chakra system, right? Root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown. There's a spot right here, and I'm sorry, the camera. Let me just see if I can move the camera down a little bit. Excuse me for a second. There's a spot right here where your thymus gland is. And it's sometimes referred to as the thymus chakra. Many people know it as the higher heart chakra, and it has been called the seat of the soul. And what it is the bridge between the heart and the throat. The heart is actually the bridge between your lower three chakras and your upper three chakras, because really to manifest anything, to live in the energy of unconditional love, compassion, gratitude, it all comes from your heart chakra. True communication, honest, emotional transparency, can only come when the heart and the throat chakra are connected, and that's where the thymus chakra comes in. It helps you speak from your truth, the truth of your soul, the truth of that infinite spark of God within you. It is also your thymus chakra, where your thymus gland is also the place that helps your immune system and helps you regulate your nervous system. If you're familiar with EFT, the emotional freedom technique, that's the tapping technique, you can look it up. Nick Ortner and his sister Jessica have written a number of wonderful books. They have YouTube channels. They discuss it. A lot of their material has been um, provided by Hay House. That's Louise Hay's company. Rest in peace, Louise. There's videos I've recently seen on Instagram of Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay being led through the version of the electronic freedom technique that Nick teaches. Sorry. There. My dentures were a little loose, so excuse the lisp. Because really, I don't wear my dentures unless I'm on camera or I go out in public. Um, so essentially, this right here, when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling physically and emotionally unwell, one of the good things to do, if you have a cold, that's why when you cough, you tend to do this. That actually clears your lungs out. But it also, from an energetic perspective, clears out the energy of the cold, of the congestion. Because I actually have asthma and allergies, and I'm also on blood pressure medicine, so it tends to dry my throat out and cause congestion. So I've got that going on. So I tap this a lot. And essential oils, like the ones that I use from Color Energy, the turquoise line is all for this chakra. That's why I use, if I can find it, did I use it today? I don't think I used it today. Did I use it today? This is the turquoise essence in the chakra light. This is the color your mood metamorphosis. And we all know what metamorphosis is. Think of it as just another word for transformation. This is the turquoise energy chakra blend. I have faith. This means faith in yourself, faith and trust in God, and the God within you. But really, it's good for your immune system. It connects you to your soul, your higher heart chakra. You can also, with all these roll-ons, you can roll them directly on your the area where they're for the chakra they're meant for. I don't do that with all the others. I tend to rub them on my wrists and rub them in because your wrists, um, when you do that, It actually allows the essential oils to get into your bloodstream. And all their products are charged with sacred energy, sacred geometry, and various other frequencies meant to help balance the mind, body, and spirit. I want you to take time today and ask yourself, where am I not going beyond the reality that I live in? I'm not saying in the sense of going beyond, in the sense of going to, other worlds. One thing you need to remember is your timeline. This isn't the only timeline you're in. All your timelines from your past lives and your future lives are all happening at the same time. My guides are saying go beyond, meaning you need to step out of this human existence, even just for 5 minutes. That could be meditating, that could be possibly um, some other spiritual experience, quantum jumping. You can look that up. Astral traveling, lucid dreaming, however you choose to go beyond this human form and explore life and your experiences through your soul. Now, I'm going to pull a card from the Untethered Soul, or Living Untethered, which is the second book. Michael Singer wrote 2 books. Actually, he wrote several. The Surrender Experiment, The Untethered Soul, and Living Untethered. I've not used this deck before, but it obviously is very much similar to the first deck. And I was told to stop shuffling. The mind. Just gonna hold that there for a moment and let you read it. If the camera will focus. You can think of mind as a very high vibration energy field in which thoughts can be created. Mind is not the thoughts. Mind is the field of energy in which thoughts are capable of existing. Now, we can look at that from a scientific perspective too. So many people think the brain is the mind. No, the brain is an organ in your body. It basically controls everything you do. Thoughts are not created by the brain. Neurons and electricity, they're literally neuroelectricity. Every time you have a thought, every time you do an action, every time, you know, you do anything, neurons are firing. There's like electricity in your brain. Your heart is also electric, right? We have electricity in our body. The mind is the energy of the brain when thoughts are created. Thoughts exist not in the brain per se, they exist in the mind, which is essentially the energy of the brain, the field of the brain, but it's not an actual physical thing. Um, we're very complicated here. When we ask to incarnate, as simple as we think we are, we're very complex beings, and our circuitry and everything is very complex, and it was made that way so that we could have all the experiences that we have. I want you to be, I mean, it's impossible to be mindful of every thought you have today. But if you notice thoughts of positivity, don't force yourself to think it. But if you notice positive thoughts or negative thoughts, um, I I want you to be aware of them, especially if they tend to be repeating. I'm sure you know most. You know, if you've read about manifesting, if you've read about how the mind works and neuroplasticity and sort of all those things, you know you cannot keep track of every single thousand thought that you have every day because we have thousands. There's thoughts about I need to move my finger, I need to go for a walk, and those actions when your body moves or you speak or whatever, those are actually thoughts. You're just not conscious. They're autonomic. They just happen, just like our breathing happens. What I want you to be conscious of today is repeating thoughts. You're getting repeating thoughts about certain things. They're going to create an emotional connection, be it positive or negative. What I don't want you to do, I don't want you to dwell on them in the sense of if they're negative and they're bringing you down, I want you to be able to understand that the reason you're having the repeating thoughts is because you're creating emotional connection to it. And you need to be able to find a way to release that thought. I have made suggestions in many videos on how to regulate your nervous system, how to not manage your thoughts, but how to deal with the negative ones when they come up. And ride the wave technique is a really good way. Um, you're welcome to go online and look up the ride the wave technique, which is DBT, dialectic behavioral therapy, and it can help you deal with learning how to handle negative or repeating thoughts that are pulling you out of being present. That's really the main message. Be mindful of the thoughts that are pulling you out of the present moment and your awareness. And this is where going beyond comes into the previous card. Become mindful. Notice. You will learn what works for you and how to handle these and exist and release the things that are keeping you out of being present, being able to be present for people in your life, being present for your job, being present for whatever you need to be present for. But you really need to be present for yourself. I'll be back later with the Vortex Directive. Please like this video. Please share the videos with your friends. If this reading doesn't resonate, please go back and check my other readings. Just because I put the date on a reading in the title does not mean it's for that day. The message might be pertinent and relevant for you when you watch it. I appreciate you being here with me this morning in the Infinite Spark Collective. I'm Kimberly, your coach, your mentor, your guide through the journey of spiritual awakening, spiritual growth, and so many other things. And until we meet again later, have a wonderful morning.